Starting. Okay, so I would be sharing my screen. As designers, yes, your primary tool of work is Figma. However, can somebody copy the link to this meeting to the WhatsApp group so that you can join? Because he's saying he's getting another response also. I think maybe he's joining the wrong link. Thank you. Anyway, I'll be sharing my screen now. Okay. Please kindly let me know when you can see my screen. Hello, people. You guys hear anything I've been saying so that I don't.
We can see it, man.
Okay, good. All right. So, yeah, tools for designing and documentation. So, as designers, yes, our primary tool is Figma. However, in as much as Figma is broad, Figma has so many features, like so many overwhelming features that every day as a designer, when you discover a feature, your mind will be blowing. I'm like, oh wow, this makes things much easier for me, and all like that. But Figma is not the only tool we use, especially when it comes to design and documentation, depending on your choice. But as beginners, go-to choice is usually Figma, FigJam, the Google Pack, that's Google Doc, Google Sheets, Google Family, right? And also there's Notion. Aside Notion, there is other project management tool depending on the platform, on the company you're working with or stuff you're working with. But most of the time, my go-to stuff are Google Doc, Notion, Figma. Yeah. So we'll be starting with Figma. And I believe majority of you said you started learning design to some level. You're familiar with the process of creating accounts. I believe everybody here has a Figma account, right? And once you have a Figma account, you see the available features. You have Figma design, you have FigJam, you have Figma slides. Figma slides is the same thing as PowerPoints that you use in Microsoft or you use in Google Doc, right? Why Buzz is similar to Canva. The way you use Canva, you can use Buzz. Google Figma sites is similar to the way you use Framer, Webflow for no-code development, right? To push whatever website you design and push to life. And Figma Make is the AI tool that is a Figma that you can prompt to bring certain design to life before you go ahead and design that panel. But today, our focus is on Figma design. And let me open an empty file. Now, as a designer, part of where my documentation starts for design starts the moment I create a file. And currently, the interface you're seeing now is a new interface for Figma. It's not everybody that might have had the updates because Figma usually roll their updates gradually. In the recent update that they did this last month, they moved some features to this sidebar. Initially, this left sidebar didn't used to be. I have like 5 different accounts for Figma, and in all my accounts, it's only this account that has this left sidebar. This additional left sidebar here. This one that has file, assets, find variables and all. In another account, I have the okay, maybe I should use an account that has that whole interface because it seems it's not everybody that has this, so that you guys don't get confused. But this is still what everybody will have at the end of the day. So are you guys comfortable with me using this updated version? Even though it's not rolled out, or should I use an account that has the old account you guys have? This is a democracy. I don't want to, so that you guys don't get confused when you're trying to watch the video and trying to figure it out. What do you guys want? Should I use the normal interface that is still in everybody, even though everybody will still be upgraded to this? Hello, I'm trying to make the class interactive. You guys are muted and not responding.
I think you can use this one or the old one so far as whatever it is. For example, if maybe where so is different from where it is in the former one, so we can know where and where we're supposed to type or press. So maybe you should use the former one actually. My
All
thoughts.
right. Okay then. Let me open a file using another of my accounts. Okay, let me open a file with this. All right. Okay, I found this. Let me share that instead. Mm, okay. So you can see the interface difference. You can see that in this account there's no left panel, which I think Figma is ruling that as time goes on. So the variable that was here, you can see this is where variable is now. And asset is right under here. And this icon is right here rather than in the other panel. So since we're working with this interface, we proceed. So as I was saying, my documentation process for on as a designer. Yes, go ahead, Ebenezer.
Are you using Figma web page or Figma desktop?
I am using the desktop app.
Okay. Is it the same as the web page or there are differences?
So the interface is based on the account. So even if I open this account on web page, I'll still be seeing this interface. So it's the same desktop app I'm using for all my accounts, in the sense that if I click come to home here and I click on drop down, you can see all my accounts here, all the various accounts I have. And out of all the various accounts, it's only one that has the latest interface. So it's still the same desktop app.
Is
So
it a paid version or free?
all my accounts are under education plan, so I have access to the paid version. So it has nothing to do with being paid or not being paid. It's just that when Figma releases updates or features, they release them gradually. They don't just release them to all accounts at the same time. So it's probably they are taking it alphabetical order or based on when the accounts were created. For example, the accounts that has the new update is my oldest account. I created that account way back 2020, right? So it's my oldest account. So probably that's how Figma is releasing their updates and feature. And when I look at it, anytime Figma drops new updates, my oldest account gets the new updates before any other one. My latest account, probably the one I created sometime last year, is usually the last to get the new update that they released. That's how it has been in my case. So it's never about whether you are paid or not. I think it's about the account, when the account was created or something like that. Because of the population of number of users that are using Figma, they cannot afford to release it at once. So they release it gradually to test how the feature is functioning before they now release everything at once.
Okay. Will you advise us to start with free version or paid version? Or what's the benefit of using the paid version? Because there are these are things I was expecting your introduction to Figma.
Yeah. So I've not gotten there. But since you already asked, let me answer your question. So the free version, as on Figma page, they highlight and state the rules of what free version is have access to and what paid version has access to. And Figma paid or free is not based on general accounts. It is based on projects. For example, if you look at these now, you see some are under education. Education means because it's registered as an education account, because my account is registered as an education account, I can put some project under education that gives me access to the professional, to all the features that are given to professional stuff. Why for the free? Free means I've not upgraded it to education or professional, meaning it doesn't have the paid features, right? And there's the professional, meaning that's the one where you actually pay. So education in the sense that Figma has that thing where they do education, where they say if you're learning Figma at least for 6 to 1 year, you have access to use Figma, experience Figma tool for free. But you have to do it under a registered boot camp, right? So because I'm registered as a tutor with HNG, right? My account is registered as a tutor, so thus I have access to those free stuff. However, there are some of my accounts that the project is paid depending on the team I'm working with. So if some team, some organization actually pay for what's it called, pay for the project. So Figma is not being paid based on this account. You pay per project. So if I decide that okay, I want to create a new project now, let me name it UI/UX 2.0. Now, despite the fact that I already have paid subscription on this account, it doesn't mean this new project will automatically be paid. No. It is in the process of creating it. I would now select what kind of projects I want and all of those things. So you see, if I want to invite anybody to this team, I go ahead and invite, but I don't want to invite anybody, right? So I skip. Now you can see all the payment plan here. So for each feature, it has all the stated value, right? So for starters now, it tells you that for each project you create, you have ability to open just 3 files. That is, and you can do basic design collaboration, prototyping, and people can use the file. However, for professional, which is this one, Figma has all these tools there. There's dev tool, there's collaboration as well. You can see the price for each. So if I decide to go full, it means I'll be paying that's if I'm paying annually, but if I decide to pay monthly, $20 per month. But because you can see for student and education, but because my account is registered as an educator, I can click on upgrade from free to an educator plan. So it's telling me that this project is this. You can see everyone, but for anyone that I can invite to this project now, they also have to have been registered as an educator or a student, right? So it means that all the full seats of Figma, I will have access to it because I'm registered as an educator. So you can see that my value is $0, 0 naira. So this is part of the incentive that Figma is giving. Before, it used to be very easy to register as an educator by yourself, but now Figma, because of their additional features that they are making money from, right? They made the process additional steps and all like that. So I can complete my upgrade. So it means anybody I'm inviting to this team now, right? Now this is a paid team. It means I can create hundreds of projects and all in this team. But if it was a free team, I can only create 1 project and 3 files. I can't do more than that. Do you understand? And you can see Figma is already telling me that this team is for educational user only. New user will be required to verify their education status. So that's how Figma works. If it is a free project, if I go under my free project, for example, you would see that if I have passed my limit of number of projects required, Figma, you can see that, you see, I can only create 1 and I've created 3 files. If I try to create additional file, it will tell me to upgrade to either professional. And when I click on upgrade, that's when it will go through. And because under free project is only 1 project, also under a team, is only 1 project I can create. So if I want to upgrade, I have to make payment because it's registered as free. So it's based on the teams that you create. That is how what's it called? That is how Figma stuff works. Now, for this UI UX that I created, I can go to that team project now and decide, okay, I want to create a file. So under this, I open this project. If I decide to name the project, fine. If not, I can click on create from here and at the same time still open new file. Okay. You see how Figma is giving me additional information about their product and all. So let me close this other one so that this one open under that. So I hope that clears the whole payment structure or team structure and stuff about Figma.
Thank you.
And the advantage majorly is, yes, on the paid version, you see that you have access to all their features. You have access to Figma Make, Figma Buzz, Figma Sites, all the other tools. That's this, all these tools that are here. Let me come to recent. All these tools here. On the paid feature, you have access for them for free. But on the free feature, you only have access to this one and this one. And there are limits to what you can do there. And aside that, in the file itself, in this design file itself, there are some things that are in the free version, but it's not in the paid. They are in the paid version, but it's not in the free. For example, in variables, when working on variables, there are limited things you can do with your variables. You can only create one mode and all of those things in the free account. So it's really good with education or paid, you know. And I think monthly is about $8 monthly. So, oh, sorry, about $20 monthly, I think.
You mean $20 monthly for education?
No, for free. For the professional one, for the professional level, it's $20. For the education one, you, what is it called? A school have to register you, right? So it's the school that is doing the registration, not you. You just need to go ahead and you just receive the mail that you've been registered as a student at that point and all like that. So yeah, moving on. Yeah, I was saying part of the way I start my documentation when it comes to Figma is from the moment I create my file. When you create your file on Figma, you always have it untitled, meaning there's no name. And a proper way to document is to name the name of your project. So now on this class is Introduction to Figma. I am going to name this file Intro to Figma. Right. I have given it a name. That's organization number 1. Now, on Figma, you can have different pages. Yeah, by default, there's always page 1. You can create multiple pages. However, on the free version, you can only create 3 pages. That's the way it works. But the entire class now is not a discussion of comparison between free and paid. So let's dive into what I actually want to teach. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, you can create multiple pages. And part of my way of documenting as well as I design, also naming my page, because as you name your page correctly, anybody that access your file will be able to know where they're going. So for example, this is a new file. I definitely want to create a cover for this file. So I need cover. So it means this is the page I'll put my cover title and do everything, which we would do here in this class. Our next page is, let's say on the project has mobile app, web app, admin. And we have a project sample. Our project sample is a mobile app. So I am naming this mobile design. So anybody that comes to this file can easily know where the mobile design page, all the designs for mobile is. Now, I know I'm going to gather some mood board for this project that I'm about to do. So I am naming this mood board, right? Meaning that's where I'll put all my inspiration and all. Another thing, I would also be creating style guide, how my colors will be, how my input field will be, how my buttons will be. So I will name this page style guide. Right? Now, another page I know I will need. As you design, there's some design that after you do them, you change them, you iterate, but you don't want to just delete it and take it away because you might later remember that, oh, you did one element earlier on, no, in my first design. Let me go and get it. But if you've deleted it accidentally, it is gone. So I always have a dump page. Dump page is where I put things I probably don't need at that point in time. Now, if I have copied large icons from somewhere and I don't want it to be in the same page where I am designing, I can either create a separate page for icons or I put the same icon under my style guide. Anyone. Basically, the number of pages that you need, as long as you create the page, you label your page. So that way, part of your documentation already is as you share your link to your stakeholders, to your client. Your client can easily come and say, okay, yes, this is the cover, this is the mood board. Your clients or your boss can see where all the inspirations you've gathered. They can, you yourself, later you can go to your dump style guide. Your devs can go to the style guide to copy the style guide that you did for the project and all. So I am rearranging this in order of how I would use them. Right. So that is first. Now, the asset panel, in this asset panels are libraries. When you create a Figma file by default, part of Figma upgrade, they automatically, when you click on this icon that says library, they've automatically added some libraries that are free to people. You have, let me, this file, okay. You have all this, you can see, and if you guys can see this left panel, you see iOS 18, Figma, sample design. I can decide to add this to this project, which I'll click on add. As I add, you see that every element that has been added to this design system was published in Figma. So by adding it, I will automatically have access to all the styles of anything component that was created in this design system, Figma design system. It's Figma that created this design system and they made it available to the public. I can add it, or I can decide to go to existing files that I already have. So in my own project, I already published some design system. For example, I can add align UI to my design system. Every component, you can see 4,500 something components is there. So what it means is that some people they worked on what they call design system. A design system has everything. You see icons, you see input field, you see buttons, you see colors, all the different elements, basically all the foundations of things that you can use in your design, your reusable components, everything. When I say reusable components, meaning they made all those things into a component. So when you've made it like that, then you can publish it. After it's been published, it now gives you access that you can use it in any file that I created. So all the files that you are seeing here right now are files that has been published in my own account. And because I publish it, I can access it in any file I want. Hence, I can add, see, I have Vusax that I published, right? I can add Vusax to this file. Vusax will also be added. Vusax is an icon pack. So I know I mentioned earlier, I think sometime yesterday, that when you're using icon, ensure you're using a single icon pack. So if I don't want to work with Vusax, it is huge icon I want to work with, I can decide to also add huge icon. I've added it. Now, if I go to this file now, it will now show me all the libraries that I've created. So any Figma file that you decide to publish, as you can see, when I click on this icon, this asset icon, this library icon, assuming I design in this file, it will also tell me that I can publish this particular file. Or if I've created a company, I can publish it, meaning this file itself to be accessible by other files that I open in this platform. So now you can see that I've added 2 different icon packs and everything. But because I don't want to go through all those stress and all, and because I only need one icon pack, I can remove as easy as I had it. I can remove as easy as I added. But I want to keep full sacks and these for specific reason. So this is how you add stuff to your Figma account. You see, when it comes to UI kits, you see all those iOS usually publish, that's Apple. So in this place, that's where you get to see, if you had it in your file, you get to see all Apple's UI kits. For example, if I decide to add iOS, listen to my file now. An example of things that you see, if I click on iOS 16 here, you can see all the elements of Apple. You can see Apple app logo, Apple selector, all the that you simply see in your iPhone. All those elements you're seeing in your iPhone, you see them here. Your toggle, that is what UI kits are. And that is what, this is what they do. This is what they look like and stuff like that. So I'm taking iOS off. You see, the moment I take it off, it's gone. See icon. You can see all the icon packs. You can see the icon pack I select. You can see all the different icons. It has automatically come to this file because I added it to my library. See Figma design system. You can see calendar Figma created, few icons they created, section, pagination, how text can be, and different things that they have created. You see example of how certain things can be, of how article could look like, of how contact page, home page could look like. Figma created all of this. Now, all these files that you are adding, you can also find them in Figma community. We'll get back to what community is and what you can do with Figma community. As I go, if you get confused or you have questions about what I'm talking about, please let me know. So that is Figma library, files, and assets, right? Now, on the drop down here, this is where you get to see version history, you can export and stuff like that. And you have some few menus here, your text tool, your view tools, and all. Yes, Benita.
Sorry, I wanted to ask, I don't know if you made mention of it. How do I publish before I start adding to the file from the assets?
Okay, so before you can publish a new file, there's a new project and a new file that we open. Before I can publish, I must have created components at first. Because right now, if I click on assets and I come to libraries, you'll see that my publish button is inactive because I have not created anything in the file. There's no component or anything. You can see to publish this file, first create component, variable, or styles before I can publish. So because I've not even created anything, so I cannot publish this file yet. But as we create in this class, we will publish before going, and I will share the link for you guys.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. So yes, these places are shortcuts for how you want to view stuff and all. But again, you see that a lot of things are inactive, majorly because we have not put anything in this. So this is the Figma Canva. I always like it in dark mode. But for this class purpose, let me put it to light. Let me change my background color to a light one because I want to show you guys something. Now, Figma is made up of pixels. And I talked about how when I was talking about spacing earlier, I think during our first class, where I was saying maintaining consistency. If something is a spacing system, you use it. If your font size, I think a question was asked about font sizes, and I answered that question. And I said everything is calculation. If you are using random numbers and all, your design will not balance. Everything will be weird. And that's majorly because Figma is made up of pixels. The Canva is made up of pixels. By looking at it from plan here, you think that, oh, this is just a plain square color that you are using. You can see that I'm zooming in so hard, right? You see that I keep zooming in, and you can see that I've zoomed into the 25,600%. You can see that each square, Figma is made up of each square. You can see square 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 pixels. That's 4 squares. And hence why measurement is calculated like that. So if in your size you put 2.5, Figma will count it as 1, 2, and then half of this square is to divide the square into 2 to make that size. To tell you what I'm talking about, if I zoom out, you see as you're zooming out, you can see the squares are going smaller and you don't see it anymore. It's because that is how the interface is made up of squares and all. That's why it's important to have a good fixed spacing system. It's an example of what I want to do is now let me create this. Don't worry, I will talk about this thing later. If I put this to, let me say 10.5, I will explain this later, but I just want you guys to understand something. So I've set it to 10.5. If we decide to zoom in, I'll zoom in real well, and then we'll count. You have how many squares here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Wait, I think it's too something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, I put 10.5, meaning 10 and a half. You can see that this last one, it divided into 2 and gave me my 0.5. But the moment I will change this to 11, you see that it cover it. If I change this to 10.8, you see it reduce it. So always have that in mind and always try to avoid decimal in your design, because again, you're dealing with pixels, you're dealing with tiny boxes, and you need the boxes to be balanced. You need it to have whole numbers, not decimal numbers, not random odd numbers, a proper spacing system that will make everything align with whatever it is you're designing. So hence why I say, oh, you need a spacing system, you need a grid system, you need a margin, you need all of those things. Now, okay, before I move on, Ebenezer, your hand is raised.
Yeah, as you are zooming, I want to ask, what is your shortcut for zooming and how do you do that?
I am not using shortcuts. I'm just using my trackpad on my laptop. But I think if you're using mouse, you press on Control and you use your mouse cursor to zoom in, to zoom really in. When you press Control, it will zoom you in. If you're zooming out, when you still press Control again, to zoom your house. So if you place your mouse on the element you want to zoom in and you press Control and use your mouse, you zoom out. But because I'm using a trackpad from my laptop, I just pinch, expand, and it does it. And
Sorry.
if you don't have mouse or trackpad, there's also this here, zoom in, zoom out till you get to what you want. But mouse or trackpad works. Yeah. Someone else said they wanted the next question.
No, it's fine.
Okay. So yeah, that's about the pixels and all like that. Now before we go to this left panel, let's come to this middle section here, where our babies, some magic features are. Now on this here, you have 3 icons here. You have the draw mode, the design mode, and the dev mode. Dev mode is for majorly devs, so that when they activate dev mode, when they are looking through your design, they can see the code interpretation of your design, the code interpretation of your spacing and all of these things, and they're able to align it into their own VS code and stuff like that. But you as a designer, your major feature here is draw and design. But draw is for people that want to use illustration, draw illustration, do vector mode, and how they use draw. Now, because you're doing actual design with frames and stuff like that, you'll be using the design mode. Now, if you click on draw, you see that the menu on this panel changes. You can see that it has changed. You can see the brushes for drawing and how. That's because that's draw mode. If you click on dev mode, you see that the dev mode stuff change. It will tell you, you see that because I'm clicking dev mode for the first time, it's telling me to set it up in my VS code so that it will align. But I have no business in that. Now, when I go back to design, see, my features are back. Now in design, you have your first 2 year. When you click on this, you have your move tool, which is what I've been using to move around. You use it to select elements and all. And you have hand tool. This hand tool is for you to move across the Canva anyhow you want, by just tapping and clicking without having the need to select anything. Once you just hold it, you're able to move around. That's what the hand tool does. While the scale tool, and you
Sorry, am I the only one not hearing her?
I'm not
We all
hearing
can
you.
hear.
Oh, okay.
No, I think her network is bad.
Yes, I think she's having a network issue. Let's wait for some minutes. It's done.
Hi guys, before she comes back, I just wanted to ask, how good are you guys with this UI UX? Look, can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I
Well,
can hear you.
I just wanted to ask if they're like more experienced people, like we can connect or something like that.
Oh, yeah. So, for me, I've been into design since let me say like 2024, right? Yeah, but I was doing more of graphic design and UI
Graphic,
UX. So,
okay.
yeah,
Oh,
so
so
yeah,
is it like
but
you're new to UI UX?
no, I'm not new. I'm not new. I do
Okay.
like templates. I do templates. I do um webs like mobile
Okay.
interfaces also. Yes,
Did
yes.
you
But at the same time, like I also want to like broaden my knowledge and
get knowledge?
stuff like that. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of the
So,
challenge I'm also facing. How about you, Helen?
Yeah, I've been doing UI UX for a while, about 2 years plus. Right. I just needed to get more insights
Is
on
it
the user experience, not the design aspect, getting more insights on what I'm actually designing. It helps. I mean, when you get into it, when you attend an interview, they're not just focused on how fine your screens are yet, or what
Yeah.
you can do and all. So yeah.
Oh, okay, I get. Well, because of the sometimes I don't really follow the features, so I get lost with the UI features and all. I don't follow up, so I don't know. Maybe we can just connect after this, or what do you guys think? Do you plan on joining the HNG 14?
It's ongoing already.
Oh, they start. I thought it was April.
I
Oh,
think
wow.
they've started. if they've not started, maybe they've sent out mails, and but I know that there should be a Slack.
It's in April.
I don't think April, Abi.
So
Okay.
What
yeah, because I
what did you say,
remember
Lucia? Oh, April. Did
It's
you
in
join the
April.
last one? Did any of you guys join the last one?
yes,
I did.
Was was it
yeah, I
was
joined. I
it
also joined
hectic?
that.
Were you able to meet up some points, or was it
It
really
was crazy.
really crazy
It
My,
was
good?
my my mental
exactly
health
it
was
was so,
actually challenged,
It was challenge, right?
but I was
Honestly,
able to
So
scale
like I
really
said,
through
challenging.
to like maybe 8. Something happened, personal stuff, and then
Back.
Okay,
oh wow.
sorry.
Hi,
just
Paula,
have to drop
welcome
off.
back.
Sorry for the break in transmission. My light tripped off and I had to switch to alternative light. Okay, let me share my screen back. Okay, let me know when you can see.
You can see it.
All right, so I stopped at the handle here. And as you can see on this drop down, when you click on it, you can see the shortcuts for each of this. So it means when I want to use Anto or move, if I click on V, it's going to move on your keyboard. If you click on H, it's going to Anto. So now I'm not pressing anything and I'm clicking on V. You see that I can switch. Now, if you notice, there's also the scale tool, which is K. If on my keyboard I click on K, I have my scale tool figured. Scale is used to scale anything to become bigger. So you see that this is small, right? And scale it and it expands and it can reduce it and do whatever I want. That's what the scale is for. See, I can increase, reduce. That's what you use scale tool for, right? Now, the next tool here is the frame tool. You have frame. So when you click on frame, if you notice on the right panel here, you have desktop. Let me close it first. You have desktop, you have phone, you have tablet, you have presentation, you have social media. For example, if you click on phone, you see the different font sizes available for you to design it. My rule when I'm designing, I always use the latest font size, the biggest font size. So whatever dev is working on anything, they can easily do what they need to do. In this instance, for phone, I prefer to use the 16 Pro Max. If tomorrow Apple release another phone and call it iPhone 20, when I want to design tomorrow, I will not use the 17 again. I will use iPhone 20. My reason is because whenever a dev is working, when they put stuff on a larger, when you make change, when you implement design on a larger screen, it's easier to now scale it down. Rather than making design on a smaller screen, it's more difficult to scale it up. Sure you get. So that is the reason why when I'm selecting my frames for mobile, I always select the biggest size. Now you have phone mobile, right? You notice when you select, it adopts the name of that frame that you select. Part of my documentation process is also I name my frame when I select. Now I want to select another one for tablets. There are different tablets here, and when I look at it, I want to go with the iPad Pro, so I'm going with this. So when I click on iPad Pro, it brings this on here. When I go to frame again, I want to pick a desktop screen. And by default, I always use default desktop. I don't used to use any other name that they call whatever. I just select desktop and I design for that. But depending on the kind of project you're working on, if the project is like a design for a TV platform, TV interface, it's okay to use TV. But because it's web and all, standard for web I always use is 1440 by 1025, which is this one. That is named desktop. This is what I always use. I don't use to bother about any other thing. But as you learn to design, you get to have your own preference. I'm not saying this is the ultimate rule. I am just saying these are my preference. Same thing on frame. If it's slides you're working on, before when Figma slide was not available, I used to use this the 16 by 9 slides. But now there's Figma slides. I don't bother this. I just go straight to Figma slides. There's for when you're designing for Apple Watch, you have screens there. When you're probably designing something that has to do with A4 paper, especially the graphic designer, that they'll be designing letterhead, they'll be designing tabloids and all of those things. This is where they select their frames. If you're designing for social media, so maybe the design you're making now is for Twitter header or Twitter banner or Instagram post, you can come here and select. So if you want to design your LinkedIn cover page, you can pick LinkedIn. So it means if you export this design after you're done, it will fit perfectly well into your LinkedIn header. So Figma made those things available under frames. Now, aside frames, you also have sections. Section is what helps you categorize your design. So, you know, when you're working on projects, you have different flows. You have your onboarding flows, you have your home page flow, you have your, what is it called? You have your, let's say, withdrawal flow, you have your ad fund flow. Just to keep your things organized and properly documented, I make use of section. So when I click on section, I go ahead and I zoom out. I intentionally do this always. And then I draw a very large section. Now, in this my section, I can label it, change the section and all. Let me go back to my dark mode because this brightness. So much brightness is beginning to do me somehow. Okay. Now I have my section. I don't like my section color as well. So I am changing my section color to black. Okay. Now you can see that all these things, all these elements I've dropped. You can see that on this left panel here, you can see that the labels, the names are here and they are labeled now. So now let's say I want to organize all of these. The purpose of section is to organize your elements together. Now let me name the section types of frames. That's me doing my labeling system, right? So I have my desktop. I can drag my desktop into the section. You notice how the desktop has moved inside this section. So if I close it, you can't see the desktop again because it's hidden inside this section. But when you open the section, you see it there. I want to bring in my iPad screen inside the section. I want to bring in my mobile screen inside the section. I also want to bring my LinkedIn header inside the section. I can decide to rename it, but it's a matter of, let me zoom in. Yeah, you can rename. So if you are renaming, this is where you just give them the name of whatever you want to name them. But we'll get to that. So this is what you use the section and frame tool for. For this other tool, it's called slides. I hardly use it. I never use it. I don't like it. So I've never bothered about it. So I won't be diving into that because I'm not doing anything Photoshop or anything like that. Now, the next tool is where you have your shape tools. You have your rectangle, you have your line, your arrow, your circle, your star, depending on what you are creating. So all of these you can use them when you want to create vectors in your design. Maybe there's one place that you want that shape to be wobbly. You can come here, select one of the shapes to do what you want to do, and all like that. Now, I know some people are fond of, there's that confusion between frames and rectangle and all, because they believe that, they are all squares, they are all the same shape. For example, if I decide to come here and draw a rectangle here, I'm sure when you look at it, you think that, they are the same, but they are not the same. In the sense that if I decide to pick this frame and I drag it, I put it inside this other frame, what happened? They become one. You see that I'm moving it around and that other frame is moving with it. It's because a frame can hold in elements together without it scattering. But if I decide to now bring that element out, see, I've brought it back out. You notice that this rectangle doesn't have title the way this other one has title. It's for one reason, because rectangle cannot hold anything. Rectangle is used for vectoring, for when you want to do something creatively wobbly and all like that. That's what you use all those shapes for. However, people make that mistake that when they are creating design, they'll use rectangle to create their background frame. They want to create this thing, they'll use rectangle. Instead of them to use frames that will hold elements. Now, this is how it looks like. You remember that when I moved this frame into this, they became one. And this element moves it around, right? And that's that. Now, watch what happened when I decide to move that same frame into the rectangle. What's happening? You see that you cannot see the rectangle. You cannot see the frame you moved. And that frame is not even inside your rectangle. If you now decide that, okay, let's assume that you think that, okay, it has entered. If you say, okay, let's drag it the same way I've dragged this. Yeah, let me drag it. Did it follow it? No. You can see that the element I put inside did not follow it because the rectangle cannot hold it. Rather, the rectangle stayed on top of it. So people make that mistake of they'll now select this rectangle and then they'll now select this frame. They'll now do Ctrl G and group. They'll do Ctrl G, they right click and then they'll group, which is wrong. Now, as you've grouped, you feel like, oh yes, they are now together, you can move them together. Yes, you are moving them together. However, look at what happens. When I decide to click on this and I move this away like this, you think that they are scattered? No, they are still together. It's just that one is in the wrong element, is in one angle, another one is in one angle. This will tell you how weird grouping and rectangle works. Unlike when you see how this one is long like this, if I move it inside this one, you see that it will stay inside and it will not leak out. And I can move this across anywhere. It is gone. But if I intentionally decide that, okay, I don't want it to be together again, I want to separate you. You see that as I separate it, it doesn't affect this one. This one can move on its own. Unlike this, you see this one, it's still together because I grouped them. So I have to ungroup in order to be able to access it. So rectangles, when you are designing as a designer, you don't need rectangles except you are creating weird shapes. And when I say weird shape, I mean that, for example, when you're using a rectangle, you see that as I zoom in, you can see that rectangle has this four radius corner here. These circles, these 4 dots. It means I can use it to manipulate this rectangle. I can turn the rectangle into anything I want to turn it to. I can even vectorize the rectangle, meaning I can turn this rectangle after using it to do what do they call it? I can start using it to do, you see as I'm creating weird shape. So as me in my design, I want one wobbly shape like this. All those wobbly shape that you see in design that people will use, they use rectangle or circle to create those things. That's what, so if in my design need those stuff, you see how this is going. You can see it's only rectangle that can do this type of thing. And this is the only point where you have business with rectangle in your design. Aside using rectangles to create vectors and weird shape, rectangles, triangles, circles, all the schools, all these schools that are here, polygon, you use with them when you want to create different kind of vector to put some aesthetics to your design. Aside that, when it comes to your actual frames and elements, always use frame. Always use frame. That's that. Now, the pen tool, the famous pen tool on Figma. Pen tool is again used to, when you use pen tool, it's for when you want to draw, you want to illustrate. So if I want to draw a house, pen tool is usually the last thing people master on Figma. Because I've been designing for 5 years now, and I only learned how to use pen tools properly around last year. That's because I started learning how to illustrate and all of those things. So you see how I can use pencil to create and draw and do any crazy illustration I want. But yeah, that's that. So let me delete this. But right now, if you don't have business with pencil, if you're not illustrating or not. Next tool is the text tool. The text tool is where your typography comes in. You see that as I select text tool, you see these changes to typography, meaning fonts. You have your different fonts and all. You have your font weight, whether it's regular, medium, bold, which would, you see that part. You have your different font sizes as well. You have your line heights, letter spacing, the alignment of your fonts and text. So you know I selected the text too, right? So let me select it and let me type something. I am a lady. See, it's very tiny, and because I'm zoomed out, you cannot see it. But if I want to increase it, I can come here and just type size 100. It has increased in size. So you can see I am a lady. This is where you get to see the different font size. I can try to change the fonts. So by the time you install the fonts, that's what you use text for. Now, this is the comment. So this is what people use when designing with people. Let's say you people are working on a project together and you came to inspect, you saw something wrong. I can click on that page. Maybe it's in this I am a lady. And I come and I want to write, you click on it, I can even tag that person. I'll be like, at whoever you're working with, their name will show in the file as long as they have edit access to it. I can say at so person, right? But since it's just me, I can say I like this font. So whoever it is, you see that the comment has been created. So whoever I'm working with will see that comment. Hence why the collaborative tool and everything and all like that, right? And I can resolve my comments and all. So that's what comments are for. Especially when so you can also use it for annotation. Annotation in the sense that if I want to note something for the deaf and I want to annotate this, I can put it into category that interaction. And I want to note that make this be dancing. That's for the person I'm working with. Make this dance. Right? So it means anytime the dev is working, they come and see, they'll be like, oh, the designer said this I am a lady needs to dance. So when they're implementing, they're able to know that, okay, they're supposed to make this dance. So it means when you're designing, as you go, all these annotations are part of your documentation process, right? Meaning there's something there that you know that you will need to explain to the dev. But probably you might not be online or something. You can leave an annotation there. So you see that it is both right there staring at people. So when I come, I will know that I'm the dev working on this. I am a lady. I'm told to make this to dance. So I know when I'm implementing it, I have to make it dance. So this is how annotation works. What else is here? Again, there's measurements. This is when, okay, we intentionally now want to measure things. So for example, I want the dev to know the spacing here, the height here is 12. So when I zoom in and I see the height, I'm able to say, okay, height from here, I want to draw height from here to here to let the dev know the space. See? So when the dev come, the dev can know that, okay, oh, from here to here, it is 121 pixel. I want to do measurement from here to here. You see, 227 pixel. So if I put this element here now, let me drag this. Oh, okay, I'm under measurement. So I need to change to the hand tool and then drag this. I'll put it inside here. And then I'll go to measurement, right? And then I want to dev to know that the space between here and the top of this frame is 474. So anytime the dev comes, they know that, yes, the spacing between this and this is 424. So if after designing, part of your documentation you're doing as well is you want to show all the measurements you use in different places so that it's easier for your dev or whoever is working on it to understand. See, you can show spacing from here to here. So in the process of measuring itself, from this, I can tell my spacing is not balanced because here is 375 and here is 212. So to balance it, I can click on this element and let me pick my move tool and try to move. You see, as I move, you see how the measurement is changing. So I can know when I'm in the middle. You see, I'm in the middle vertically now, and I need to be middle. You can see I have 279, 279. Now I'm equal because I have set measurement there. So the measurement has helped me. And also, you see that if I decide to now measure this bottom, you see that it will be equal to the same measurement that is on top. See, 205, 205. Everything is equal right now. That's how measurement works in Figma, right? And the moment I bring it out, you see that the measurement is still following, but it's telling me how further it is now. And because you've set that thing to measure each other. And then I keep it where I'm supposed to keep it. So this is what the measurement tool is. Now the main star of this nav bar is this action. When you click on action, action here is where you find all your assets. You find how to add auto layout, how to use what's the word? Remove background, to search for different features that that Figma has, right? If you want to search for assets, remember those assets I added here in this place. I can also access them here. You can see. I can see them easily. I can decide to drag, okay, I want to bring this here. I want to bring it to this place. If I zoom in now, you see that it has come out. If I come to action again, and I need another asset, right? And I want to see more. Because I'm selecting that. If I'm not selecting that, I go to all. I go to assets. Go to main comp. Oh, sorry, it's opening another file for me. I want to open it for me. Anyway, I can select another one. You see, as I select that one, it came here, right? So that's the asset panel. Now, plugins that we get. Plugins are things that make life easier for you on Figma. For example, when we want to create color very soon, we'll be using this foundation color generator. It makes you change, create, what's the word? Colors very, very fast and easy. Color styles fast and easy. Because it's actually stressful creating color style one after the other. And because you need color style for different scale. For creating typography too, we'll use this tool. You see typeface, type scale, style generator. This plugin makes things easy for you to do on Figma, right? So yeah, that is what this action panel. Anything you're searching for on Figma, just search here, you get to use them, and easy. So for you that are looking for keyboard shortcuts, when you click on keyboard shortcuts, it will show you all the different shortcuts available for keyboard. Essential to add in like every single tools and show you its shortcuts and all if you are looking for it. Right? I can remove it back. So that's for when you're looking for keyboard shortcuts. So there's nothing that you want to do there that does not exist. Now, that's the middle section. Now we're going to the final right-hand panel. On this final panel here, you have your play icon. If somebody else was on this file with me and the person can be on the call talking as we design and all like that. The person will have to have edit access for them to have this feature. So we can be talking to each other. So we don't need to be on Google Call and all. The person can spotlight me, meaning if they spotlight me anywhere I go in the file, they will automatically be going. So these are the things that Figma has done that enhance collaboration. There's this play icon for playing your prototype that you have set. We'll get to that. There's the share button. This is the share button that you use to share your link. Now, major mistake that new beginners used to make. Once you create your file, by default, your file is set to private. You see that it is locked. There's this padlock there. And it's set to only those invited can see it. And I'm the owner. So it means if I copy this link now, I share to you, you will not be able to see what is inside because it's locked. That's why part of what I do the moment I create a project, I come to share, I click on only those invited, and I change it. You see, only those invited can see. And I'll click on it and change it to anyone can view. So they'll be able to see. Now, people will be able to see it when I share them the link. If I click to anyone can edit, people will be able to edit. However, because Figma is paid, there's a law. So if your account is paid account and you send to somebody to be able to edit, automatically Figma will bill you for that person because Figma charge per editor. They charge per editor. So in that sense, you need to be careful. That's why I always automatically set it to anyone can view. And then I'll go back and then copy my link here and save. So this link I copied now, let me post it on WhatsApp. You people will be able to have access to the file. So you see, I've copied it and I sent it. That's how you copy your Figma link and share to submit to the stuff and the likes of it, right? I hope you're all following and nobody's lost. Everybody's understanding so far. Hi guys. Okay.
Yes.
Following.
Next year, you have variables, you have style. This is export, is for when you want to export stuff. In the sense that, so most times when I want to export design, I prefer exporting the export setting I always use. For example, okay, for LinkedIn now, because LinkedIn shorts have specific measurements, I will not change anything in this LinkedIn. I'll just click on that LinkedIn on, and when I click on export, I would leave it in PNG and just export so that it will maintain this 158 by 339 because that is the size LinkedIn has set. So I won't touch anything. However, if it's this mobile phone or this desktop now I want to export, and I want my design to be clear, whatever design I've done to it, when I click on export, I always use 3x, meaning 3x means, you know, the measurement of this screen is 140 by 120 or by 1024, right? If you put 3x, when you're exporting, Figma is exporting it times 3. So it will multiply 1440 by 1024 multiplied by 3. So it will enhance the design and make it clearer. So I mostly export by 3. I don't do by 4 because it'll be too heavy. Some platform where you want to upload, it's not upload. But just to be balanced, I always use 3x. I use my PNG. If it's SVG you're exporting, there's no need to set anything. If it's PDF, you can export as PDF as well on Figma. You have your PDF file. That's why some people create their CV on Figma and export as PDF. Different choices. But I always use PNG. PNG is more sharper than JPEG, right? So, except the platform requires for JPEG before I use JPEG. That's the export feature, right? Now, the style feature. This style feature is where you create color style. It's where you create text style. It's where you create your effect. That's your shadows. You see, your shadows, your noise, your glassmorphism, all those things, right? And it's where you create your what do they call it? Your margin layouts and stuff, which we will do, right? And then the final thing here is the variable. Variable on Figma is the new color system where it creates variables and you use those variables to create design token. We will get there. Now, first step. Part of the first thing I do when I'm designing is to create my grid, my colors and all. So in a system now, grid means I want this grid to guide my design to maintain consistency with the same left and right padding and all of those things. If you notice that our left panel keeps changing, our right panel keeps changing each time an element is selected. When I don't select anything, you see that it has changed. However, the moment I select things, more things show up. You see your positioning tool, you see your, for example, this one, if I decide to change position to middle, you see that this has disappeared. It has changed the position to the middle. If I change position to the left, see that it's changed to the left. If I change it to the far end, you see that if you change it to the far end, if I change it to top, it's go to top. If I want it at the center, it's be at the center. If I now want to have the center, but in the middle, it's be in the middle. If I want it at the bottom, it's gonna be at the bottom. That's what alignment is for. And you use it when you're designing to arrange your design well. Now there's layout. In this layout, these things are useful when you're doing auto layouts, which we'll check. We'll look at that now. You have your width, your height, you have your direction. This means that freeform, meaning you are allowed to put elements wherever you want them to be, right? Direction down, it means any element, I've already clicked direction down, so it has automatically added the auto layouts. But I don't want to add the auto layout yet. So let me Ctrl Z. The moment you select one of these directions, that frame is automatically put in auto layout. So it means whatever direction you select is the direction the element you put inside that design will adopt. And this is what I mean. When I zoom in, and let me write a text. I am writing, I am happy. Okay, now that font is too big. So let me reduce the size. I'll give it a 40. Now, because it's currently free form, this text can be moved anywhere and it's anyhow, right? Now, this text now is inside this frame. And like I said, frame holds elements. So the frame has held it very, very well. But I want to put another, I am happy. I now want to duplicate, which is Ctrl D. Use Ctrl D to duplicate. You can see on this panel, it has duplicated. However, you cannot see it here because it's on top of each other. So you have to separate it first. If I do another duplication, it will not take that method, but it's not following the line. It's wobbly, 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 wobbly. But now I want them to arrange very well. To arrange very well, I select the main frame, which is this desktop frame that is housing them. You can see that it's housing all the I am happy, I am happy. And the reason why it's arranged anyhow is because it's set to freeform. So to add it to auto layout, you can either do Ctrl A on your keyboard, or you come here and select the direction you want those elements to go, either vertical or horizontal. Or you want them to be able to be in grid form or rapid. So in this case, let's try vertical. Watch what happens. You can see how all of them arrange together. They arrange perfectly well. So it means because it's arranged, if no matter how many I duplicate, you see it keep arranging without wobbling anywhere. Do you understand? And that's majorly because the main frame is being housed in auto layouts. Auto layouts, and in the sense that you can see the alignment here. Auto layouts gives you proper padding. You can see the spacing here in the auto layout. See how much of spacing here you can adjust. So I can decide to, okay, I want everything to be 32 pixels all round. I do 32 pixel here, meaning top, bottom, left, and right. So the top here is 32. This next here is another 32. This next here is another 32. And this here is another 32. So all around, the padding, they call it padding. The padding of this frame is 32 pixels. You can see 32. You can see 32. You can see 32. If you notice, this thing came to the middle and it's starting from top. That is because in the alignment here for the auto layout, you set it to align top center. If I change it to align top left, you see that it will move to the top left. If I move it to align bottom left, you see that it will come down to the bottom. If I decide to change it to align right bottom, you see it to come here. If I change it to align right top, it will come here. Now, if I change it to align, meaning it should be in the middle of what I need it to be, it will be in the middle. If I need it to be on the right and stay in the middle, to be. If I need to be on the left and stay in the middle, to be. If I need it to be on the center bottom and be in the middle, to be. But I'm keeping it here right now. Now, let's now assume I want another row of this thing. what I'll do is I'll press enter for this. Yeah, I'll select the element and press enter. Enter means you see that it's automatically selected all the elements together, right? And then this element, I can decide to frame it. I'll press Ctrl A on my keyboard and put this element into his own frame. You can see that they've entered their own frame as well. Now, I want to populate this into different columns. Now, you can see that the spacing here is 32, 38. I want to do a spacing system because I want it to be divisible by 8. So I'm using 32 still. So I mean, any size I'm using, when you divide it by 8, it's divisible by 8. It's just simple math. So now we want to duplicate this into more column, right? Remember, it's vertical. So if I duplicate this, you see that it go down. Ctrl D. You can see that it went down. But because I don't want to go with vertical arrangement anymore, I now want to go to horizontal arrangement. You see that it comes to the side. If I duplicate once more, it comes to the side. Now, if this particular one now, I don't want only this frame here. I don't want only this frame to be vertical. I want to change it to horizontal. You see that the arrangement has changed to horizontal. Now, you have this arrow that is called wrap. Yeah. So let's assume that even though it's horizontal, I want to be able to wrap. So it means I'll click on wrap. And as I click on wrap, I should be able to do this. As I reduce, it just adapts. It just reduce and keep adapting, keep adapting. These are features of the things you can do with auto layouts. Now I can decide to unwrap it and put it to this back. Now, part of the auto layout feature, once you set something to auto layout, you can resize the frame to either of content or you set it to fill container. So it means you can see, because I set it to fill container, you see the way the frame expanded. If I set it to hug, it will hug the content inside, like the word says, hug, fill, and all of these things. If I decide to press enter and I want to put all of these three inside one single frame, I select the whole three and do Ctrl A. See, all the three elements are now in auto layout, right? And I can now do Shift A, Shift D. I duplicate it. You see how I've duplicated a lot of things in this design and it has maintained alignment and everything because it's in auto layout. If it was not in auto layout, all of this will not be possible. My design would be miserable. Now, because it's in auto layout, even if I try to drag it away, like I want to move it, I want to bring it to this upside, it will not move. It will not scatter. It will maintain where you set it to. That is one good thing about auto layouts in your design. And by understanding how you want to place your things, this helps you when you're using auto layout section. The appearance section is where you set radius corner. Radius corner in the sense that, okay, in this same design, I want to, let me group this text together. Shift A. I select both, I push Shift A. Now I want to add new element, but I don't want to use this direction. I want to use this direction now. So I mean, I'm drawing a frame. I want to select a frame. Sorry. I want to select a frame. And in my frame, I want to draw the frame here. You see, as I'm drawing, it's maintained the space of what I'm drawing because I have changed direction. And now I want to add a color. Let me just add one random color. Now this is a frame I'm drawing. So what I was trying to show here is the radius corner. So if I don't want it to be sharpened, when I say sharpened, you can see that when I'm not selected, the four edges of this frame is sharp. If I don't want to sharpen, you can come here. Again, I'm a fan of a spacing system. I'm giving this like a 24. So you can see that it has changed shape to 24. Now let me duplicate this. I'm selecting this and I'll duplicate. Now, if you can see how the elements are moving, but the main frame is not moving. The reason why it's not moving is because it is set to fit. So if I want this main frame to be moving as I'm duplicating stuff, I'll set it to hug. You see the way it will adjust. You see that it has adjusted. So even if I duplicate another one, it will adjust. Now, radius corner, I can decide to change radius corner to 16. You see that it's changed. If I change radius corner to 8, you see that this changes as well. You have 3 design and it changes. Now, part of consistency as a designer, in your design where you have element and you're using radius corner, you cannot be using different radius corner. Whatever radius corner size you've started with, maintain that consistency across your design. If from the beginning, even your button, you are using 8 radius corner, all your elements use 8 radius corner. If you are using 16 radius corner, in all your elements, once you draw one card, these are called cards. So let's say, now let me bring one of this right up here. I've selected it. I want to bring it inside this frame here. Let me also put this frame in the layout. The reason, you see that as I put it on the layout, he adapted to it and gave it whatever shape it's given. Now, it means that the moment you create a card, whatever radius corner you started with, consistently maintain it. No matter what you draw frame inside your elements, you see the way the radius corner are different and it's looking like you are having different design because the radius corner is not consistent and you're having different elements. So your documentation process that you state in your design as well is that your radius corner is 16 pixels. So anywhere that there's going to be a use of radius corner, it has to be 16% pixel, nothing more. It's not that you'll be designing one place you're using 16, another place you're using 24, another place you're using 48. No, you stick to the same radius corner. The only instance where that radius corner is allowed to be big is maybe the frame you're working is not extremely ginormous. So for it to now give the same feel and effect, you sort of now have to increase the radius corner. Now, an example is, because I'm using, let's say we are going with 32 radius corner, right? So I'm changing these two to 32. I'll come here, I change them to 32 radius corner. All of them are the same, right? Now, I will not now say, let's now assume that the next one I need to change radius corner is this big frame here. I will say because I'm using 32, I'll also give this one, I'll come here and do 32, and it will be fine. It will be fine because it will not give me the same effect. Can you see that you're not even seeing the radius corner? The way you're seeing this one is not effective. So for me to get the same effect that one is giving me, I have to increase my radius corner for this ginormous size. So let's say, let me give it a 72, so that to give the effect that the rest is giving. So now that I give it 72, you can start seeing that 72 is looking like a 8 radius corner, right? So if I want to give it the same effect that 32 is giving me, so automatically I need to increase it to like something like 148, for example. And yes, with 148, I have my good radius corner field that this same small one has given me. So if you notice, when you are now looking at this one and this one, it feels like the radius corner are similar vibe. That is the only instances where you are allowed to just use ginormous or different radius corner, depending on the size of that element as well, right? So that's radius corner. And opacity appearance here is for, okay, for example, what appearance is for you to hide elements in your design. You see that I've hidden it, it has disappeared. I can open it or reduce opacity here. I can reduce the opacity to 40%. You see that it has reduced opacity, meaning it's now more transparent. I reduce to 100% back. Now, when we come to color, which is the field, this is where you use to create your color styles and everything. So you notice how when I click on, I draw a frame, I click on this, and I select the color I want. In this color panel, you are allowed to select different colors that you want. There are certain regions that are not nice. Figma has been updated a lot of things and made things more easy. Now, it's telling you that the background is white. The color that works well is this. That the color you have selected works well for it. It has passed, this checkbox means it has passed contrast standard. If I decide to move it, you see that as I'm moving it, you can see what it's showing me. This thing has cancelled. It means that that is very poor contrast. And this line means that based on the background I'm using, anything, any color I'm selecting above this line region is not good contrast. But any color below, you can see that the contrast checker has marked it. So even when you are designing, contrast checker, they've added it here for you to see that, okay, yes, the color you're selecting, it makes sense. Now, let's come here, for example. if I open this, you can see that the level of line here is different, and it has checked that, okay, test contrast wise it has met it. If I decide to now move above, you see it's telling me that no, contrast wise it's not good. Now I'm within the good contrast mode here of my color selection, right? And my text here is now black. Now because this black text now 001 thing, another thing that law I always go with in your design, never use color of 000 and never use color of what is it called? Never use color of 000 in your design, because there's a way, you see how this black is very sharp. It's sharp, 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 and all. You see that as I'm zooming in, you see how it's shining in your face, right? There are some users that are colorblind, that these things affect their eye. So in order to balance things, I'll come here. I usually use something around 181818. You see how contrast checker is telling me that if I select any color from here, you see that you cannot see it. It's bad contrast. But when you select color from below this region, you see that it's soft on the eye. So majority of the time, I do 1A, 1A, 1A. It's still black, but it's not too sharp, and I can read it, and it's not affecting my eye. However, now let's come here. You see that because this is a 000, you see how sharp it is and it's weird. You can see the contrast checker is already telling that if I select any color here, it's back contrast. So I can only select color within this region or within this region for a good color. See, if I now come and I start selecting any of this, you see that the contrast is bad. So in design, when you're choosing colors to your elements, you can't put light, dark on dark, light on light. It has to be dark on light, light on dark. That way you have proper contrast. You see that you are not reading it very well, very, very poor contrast and all of those things. You can see that it's poor. But the moment I come here, it's bright. You can see that you see better with this. So dark, black color is already a dark color, and red is dark already. So black cannot stay on black on red because they are two dark colors. But anything white can stay on red because it's a bright color and a light color. Hence why when making color selection and all. And with this effect of these colors here, you will understand that, okay, yes, you're selecting proper color and all. And now when it comes to, that's for color, right? Before we go into showing you how you can use plugin to create these colors, I quickly want to talk about line height and all. So line height is let me duplicate this text. Happy space happy. Then let me just put enter, or not enter, safe. Happy, right? Now let me reduce it. Now, what line height in text means the space between this first row, this space here that is between the second row, and let me close this color. What line height? Line height in text has to do with the line between this text here, right? That's line height. Letter spacing means the spacing between letter H and letter A, the spacing between letter A and letter P, the spacing between letter P and letter P. That's letter spacing. Line spacing is the spacing between this line and this line. That's line spacing, right? So alignment in text also means currently it's set to align to the left. You can align center and you can align right. When designing, if I'm confused about how to arrange something, especially elements, by default, I just align left. Make things beautiful. Same thing with aligning of top, bottom, like right now it's aligned to top. I can change to align to middle. I can, for example, if there's space now, because it's aligned to middle, you see how it's staying in the middle. But if it's aligned top, you see that to stay on top, there's space at the bottom. If it's aligned bottom, you see that it's come down. So most of the time I use top and middle. I hardly use align bottom. Depending on the type of font you are working with, it will depend how your alignment of your font would be. Do you understand? So this is that about fonts and everything. Now for the colors that I was talking about, how to create color, and there's a plugin that makes it easy for you to create colors. Now we've talked about all these elements, strokes, and all. First, now let's talk about, before we go into colors, I'll show you how to create grids. On clicking on this, you come to layout grid. You click on plus. When you click on plus, it shows you grids. You can see you have tiny grids in all those boxes of Figma boxes. But what you need is to create proper margin and all. So you click on this drop down that says grid. You click on columns. Now by default, it's always set to 5. Color is this red. I don't like red. So I always change the color to something bluish. So I drag it till I find the color that suits my eye. Right? So I always leave it as this bluish color. And when I select this color, then it's the number of column is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the blue columns. For desktop, right? The required this thing is 12. My margin, depending on the margin you're doing. So assuming this is a website we're designing, my margin will be something like 80 or 100. If it's web app I'm designing, my margin is usually that 58 or 48. So let's assume it's a website we're working on and I give it a margin of 80. So it means that left and right, my margin will be balanced, right? And my gutter, that is the space between each of these columns, this space here, the space between each of these columns here is what they call gutter. I usually leave it at 32. And that way it balances off. So any design I'm designing, it will not go beyond this line here. See, when you zoom in, I will not design anything that will come outside there. Everything needs to be within here, left and right. That way, all your design, you have that consistency. You see that's why you see some design, everything will be perfectly aligned, left and right, same spacing, same everything. So to balance this, because my stuff is already there, and I want you to follow my alignment that I follow, I can change this to 80. So that way, I know that yes, I'm strictly following my grid line that I've created. I can click this and change it to fill so that it will strictly balance with this thing. I can also make it end to end. So you see that the spacing that I have, everything will be aligned all through. Everything will be aligned all through. No changes or anything. Yeah, Benita.
Okay, I wanted to ask, what if one is designing maybe in a situation whereby you're designing multiple cards and you want to swipe that kind of design that you have to clip the content outside the frame? Is it applicable on this margin? Because you were saying you cannot use you cannot design past this margin. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
That one is in the prototype setting. You do that. So for example, if it is that type of design that the content goes in, like is infinity scroll, for example, right, where it goes in and out or something like that. Let's create something similar here. So I'm going to select all these cards, Shift A. I'm going to align them vertically or horizontally. Now you see that they've gone beyond my margin, right? And I want to align to the right, so it has to start from beginning, right? And it's set to org, right? Let me click on the element inside. I want the element to fill container as well. Let me set the element to fill container as well. So they're all same height, same anything, but it's going outside the margin I've set, which I do not like. Now, what do I do? Mind you, the reason why it's going left and right to the other side now is because currently the main frame is aligned center. Hence why this is staying on center. The moment I move it, align top, left, you see that this will adjust. You can see it as adjust, right? But this is still going beyond the margin I set, and I don't want it to go, even though I know that you swipe, right?
Yeah.
The way I will do that is I'll come here and I'll clip content. As I clip content, as I reduce this, it will adjust.
Okay.
You can see how it has adjusted. You know why
Yes.
all of them stayed responsive to the adjustment I made? Because I set each of these to fill container, in the sense that it means that whatever the main frame size is, they should adapt. That's why they are able to adapt. When you click on it and I move it like this again, you see they are expanding. If I reduce it like this again, it is adjusting to what I've set. Now, let me expand it to the way it was before. Now, I've expanded to this way and I did not click container and I adjust it. It will still adapt. Reason because I've set the inner container, the inner elements to fill container. Now, let me return it back. Let me select this and then I want to return it back to the way it was. Now that I've returned it, well, I want to give that swiping effect. So it to show people that this thing, you can swipe through it or it's moving. I'll press enter. All this thing that was fill container before, I'll leave them to fix. Meaning they don't need to adapt to whatever changes that is happening to this main frame. Now in this main frame, I'm not going to click content, but however, I'll proceed to reduce it. But you see that as I've reduced, you can see that the elements did not adjust. It's still outside. It's still going beyond the container, the main frame. And that is because I did not click content of this frame before I reduce it. That is why it's not reducing. Now, if I take it back, right, and I take it back to the size, this is the original size. If I now come and click content means that I want it to hide inside the frame. I don't want it to go outside the frame like it went outside the frame before. So now, if I reduce it, the frame inside, they will maintain themselves. But however, you see what will happen now. You see that now it has closed. Now it's showing, giving that illusion that, okay, there's something coming out. So let me hide this Shift G. Let me hide this layers. You can see that now it is telling you that you know that, okay, this is half. Obviously, this is scrollable. So you understand?
Yeah.
You see that it is half and it's scrollable. Somebody can move. Something is moving. Something is hidden. So it means that it's telling you that there's something inside here. Scroll it. That's how you achieve that. Now, let's assume I want the effect to be both left and right. It means this thing has to be centered aligned. So if I change it back to center alignment, right? And this is center aligned. You will notice that it is both hand that is hand to hand, meaning there's something remaining here and there's something remaining here. But because I don't want to do any of that, I just want it to be on right. And this is it. However, if I want those elements to adopt again, I'll just take them to fill. I just fill container. You see how they just adopt and they maintain your size while maintaining the spacing I accept. If you notice, the spacing of 38 that is there did not change regardless of what happened. And this is all possible because all of them are in auto layout. That's why I'm able to do all these things that I'm doing. So let's now assume that this in my design now, this frame with I am happy. I want it to be in middle here. But if I drag it now, it's not even staying there. It's not staying right position that I want. You see how everything is scattering. Well, I need it there, right? So let me Ctrl Z. This is where you now use absolute position. This ignore auto layout. They've changed the name now to ignore auto layout. Sometimes it's called absolute position. So any elements you put to ignore auto layouts, it means I can carry this and bring it here and nothing will be affected. You see, as I'm moving it, nothing will be affected because I have had that clause to it that it should ignore auto layouts. So it means anything that I've said to ignore the auto layout that I said, I can position and keep wherever I want to keep. I can make it anyhow I want to make it. The moment I take it from ignore auto layout, you see that it will adapt into the auto layout system into 40. Then if I bring it back into auto layout here, it will be there. So that's the concept about alignment, arrangement, auto layouts, and the likes, and also your typography. Now, next is creating your color style. Now, the manual way of creating color style, I want this to become a style, the red color to become a style. I come here, I'll click on plus icon here. Either I click on plus here, and then I'll click on style. Then I'll name it red. And when I name it there, create style, automatically red color style has been created. When you come out here, you see that red is created. This typography too, if I want to save it with the name of the font too as well, I'll be sharing you a YouTube link to create on different ways on how you can, rearrange your typography and how it's part of the resources in that document. If you look at it, you see it. I also added documents for creating input field. When you watch it and follow it step by step, you find it easy peasy. So for this instance now, I am happy. I want to create this into a color style, into a typography style. You click on this apply style, and then you click on plus. Ignore these ones coming. These ones are coming from the design system you added. Let me even go and hide this system I added so that nothing will confuse anything. I'll remove all of them for now. That way, nothing will confuse anything we're about to create. So I've removed them. Now, you see that if I come create, you see that there's nothing here because I've removed them. So you click on plus sign. Then you name it. What's the name of the font? Happy, like whatever it is. Let's say header 1. So H1, and I create the style. So let's say I want to create another one. So that one was 40. Let's say I want to call this one body text, right? And this one I want to change the size to, let's say 24. So that's 24, and I also want to create it into style. I come here, I click on plus, I'll create body 2, body 1 as well. Now I have two style now. Now let's assume I want to categorize them so that there won't be confusion, right? I can click on these, right click, add new folder, and that one is to be under header. So any font I put under this folder are only used for headers. Now this one is body, right? I right click here, I'll click on add new folder. I call this one body. So it means any style I create, any style I create under this will be under body. So you can see I've arranged my typography orderly well. And that's how you create manually. However, there's plugin that creates everything automatically for you that makes it very, very fast, which you'll be seeing in that video that I'll be attaching for you. If you are doing it here, we'll use 5 hours on this call. So for color, let's do the one for color real quick because that one is very, very fast. So is this plugin called Foundation Color Code Generator. When you click on this plugin, you already have probably list of colors you have in terms of you'll have selected them. So let me change, for example, let me change this color to a color blue. Let me pick a color I want here. I'm going to drag this, and based on the margin, you see that as I drag this, it's already telling me that this color from here is not nice. So I am going to shift this here like this. Let me change this last one. Let me change this under the blue. Yeah. Now I have that. So I have these 3 colors, and I want these are the colors I'm using in my project, and I want to create color style for them. Now you see that the plugin has opened here. The first thing I do in this plugin is I change it to material design. Material design is Google Color. It is the standard design system in the world and all like that. So I choose material design. Then I come to my color picker. I click on color picker. You can either type the code directly here if you have it, or you select your color picker, which is this. This is called a color picker. You select it, and then you bring it to this red, and then you select the red. See that it has written the red here, right? And the name is red. I can decide to rename it. If I don't want to name it red, I can change it to primary color, whatever. You can see that it's that single color. It will give you different scale of the color. different type scale of the color, from the lightest version of that color to the deepest version of the color, which is what you need. So you use this to create styles. You see, it tell you that 10 styles created. Aside creating style, also because I will be documenting my style guide, I need the palette to show it so that my devs can see it. I will click on palette. It will generate the palette as well. You see, has generated palette for us. Usually, before all the implementation of this plugin, we used to design the palette one after the other. But because with this plugin, they made this shortcut. So I will drag my palette for color red here. If you notice, it's even set to in a frame. You see that even the plugin itself, the plugin did not put it in rectangle. The plugin put it in auto layout. We put it in a frame because that's what we hold the elements. Shape are same. So when you are designing, I don't want to be saying rectangle in your design. Next one we want to create is this one in the middle, right? I click my color picker and then I come here, I select my color. It categorizes your yellow, but I want to call it olive. I don't want to call it yellow. I don't see it as yellow. I see it as olive, right? You see, as I change the name here, after the name, I change it to create color style and also create my palette. That's created my palette. You see that it's naming it for me. So you see how my documentation process is reducing because of this plugin. God bless whoever created the plugin. Let me delete this. Now our last color for the day. I come here again. I select my picker. I drag it there. Now I rename it blue. I have my blue color and I create style and then I create my palette. Now my palette has been created. So because I still need color because I intend to use the same file to practice on other things, I will need color for my text, which is my black text, right? So let me use, I know the code 121212. 121212. What about 1A, 1A, 1A? Okay, I think I prefer 1A, 1A, 1A. I'll call this black. So this is my black text. I'll create color style and I'll create my palette. Palette rather, I say panel. My palette has been created. A final one I want to create is, I want to create for gray, for stroke. Let's create, let's say E8, 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 E8. Sorry, I know some codes often, that's why I'm going to create. So I'm calling this my gray color. So this is for my gray scales and everything. So I'll create style and I'll create palettes. Another one I want to create is, let me create purple down. Yeah. Okay, I have a good purple. I'm creating this color down because we'll be using them in variable data class. So this is purple, right? So I will create my color style and I'll create my palette. Let me create one for green. Okay, I think I prefer the shade of green. I like selecting color from this region. So this is my green. I create my style and I create my palette too as well. Let me create one for orange. Orange is usually around here. Yeah, perfect. This is not perfect orange, but this is for like warning sign. I'll just call it warning. It's not perfect like that. So you come in. Okay, this is perfect orange. Orange. I create my style. I create my palette. Now I need to create a yellow, right? So I'll drag this back to yellow city. Yellow is yellow around here. Yes, this is yellow. So I'm naming this yellow as well. You can see how this plugin has enabled me create my palette very, very easy. I know the palette are already creating as I create them. One final one I think is pink. The pink is around here. However, that's almost close to, yeah. So this is pink. So I just created basic primary colors, basic necessary colors, right? And palette has been created. Okay. So I believe we have all basic colors that we need. All the palette are stacked on top of each other here. So I'll just shift A, C. I select and put all of them together and they align. So I don't have to stress too much. So these are all our colors. Now, for you to see all the colors we've created, we created how many? It's 6. We created 10 different colors, right? And when you come here, because they are created under that tool, categorize them as under foundation. You see all the colors are here. You can see all your colors are here. So now I want to enter. I want to bring them out. I don't want them to be in a folder. So I'll select all of them one after the other, shifts, and I'll drag them outside this so that they remain on their own. And let me delete this. Right click, delete them. So I have all of that. So I have all my colors selected and all. Now, because there's now a plugin, I can easily convert all of these color styles to variable. Because when you want to create design token by tomorrow's class, Thursday's class, when we're working on tokens and all like that, is from color styles that you can easily use it to convert to variables. So it's another plugin that does that. Before, when variables launched, you create them manually. But a plugin was created, so if you search for styles to variable converter, this is it. I click on styles to variable, it loads and it converts. All my variables have been converted. All my colors have been converted to variables. So when I go to variable now, remember when we went to variable before, there was nothing. But you see, all of them created into variables. After I created all my colors, everything is now in variables. Everything works perfectly fine. I have all my necessary color. I have my blue, green, my purple, and olive, and the likes of it. I have all the colors I did. So from on Thursday class, from here, we would now create this into design tokens that would use your design and all. So I believe from these, you guys see step by step on how you create from your colors and all. So let me close this. Now, because I have created this now, it means when you come to your color here and you click on this, you see these 4 dots now. You click on these 4 dots, you see all those variables that we've created. You see all those variables. However, you also see those color style. So this is how style are represented in circles. Variables are represented in squares. So because I have converted everything I need to variable, I don't think I need any other thing again. I can go ahead and say I want to delete all of this because I've converted all of them to variable. I don't need them anymore. I'm done. And my colors will still be there because when I come here and I click here and I come to variables, I have them. have them easily. And one thing that maintains styles as well is images. So let's say in this frame now, I want to make this an image, this frame in the middle. I want to make it an image. Let me just, so this frame in the middle, I want to make it an image. So when you click on plus, sorry, it's already on color here. You click on this color. Rather than selecting color, you notice that there are some tools here. You have gradients, you have some texture pattern, you have video and image. So I want to do image. It changes. I click on my upload and it opens a frame for me. I'm going to select an image. You guys can see the image from your end. Pause off. So I want to bring a random image here. Okay, I think I found an image I want to use. You can see I brought in an image. And this is an image. So I use frame to bring in images as well. If I want to do something that has to do with circle, let this image now, it's supposed to be a profile picture. Let me reduce the size. And it's supposed to be a profile picture. I know that profile picture are meant to be like circle, circle, circle. And currently, this one is what? This one is a square. And I want it to be a circle. The best and fastest way to do that, it's quite simple. Instead of having to use a circle that is here, that will not hold your elements together. Instead of coming here to say you want to draw a circle, no. You just draw a frame. And then you come to radius corner. I'll just give it like 1,000. What do I have right now? I have my circle. And my elements will hold. So even if you need a circle to hold your profile picture on Figma and hold, just take a frame, we'll give it 100,000, whatever, radius corner, and you have your circle done for you. Easy as ABC. Now, mind you, for the circle to be perfect, but now currently it's not a perfect circle because the height and width is not the same. So I'll change height and width to be the same, like 99. So now I have my perfect circle now. So now I have my perfect circle because both width and height are the same, hence my perfect circle. So yeah, that's like the basics of design of Figma. Figma is broad. You cannot learn, I cannot show you every single trick and pics of what's inside Figma. Over time, you still pick some of that on your own as you grow and all. But these ones I've shown you are the basic ones you'll be using in your design to achieve stuff, to do stuff, and all like that. And remember when there was something about components. We'll talk about components as we work on design of projects and all. Now, if you notice, for the person that asks about publishing now, if I go to assets and I click on this now, you see that now my publish button is active. So I can decide to publish this. So when I click on publish, you see it's telling me the things that I'll publish. All the color variables I changed, the header style I created, the body style I created. So when I click on publish, it's going to publish everything. That's published. It's publishing. You see as it's counting as it's publishing. That's successfully published. So it means that if I open new file now, let me open a new file. I'll open a new design file. I'll be able to add this file to this new file. You see that all the colors will come in. So now I've created a new file. I come to assets here. I come to assets. I'll now go to themes. I know I created that file under UI UX, right? So I come to UI UX. See that this is the file. The intro to Figma file is here. I'll just add. Once I add and I close it, this is a new file, and I draw a file now. Let me draw a frame. Now I want to add color to this frame. If I come to my color mode, you see how the colors from where? You see the name of the file, intro to Figma. So all those variables that we created in another file has found their way magically to this place. So that's how publishing works. That's what you use your published stuff. So as we work on the file and do everything, you get to, use it more. Anyway, that's that for today. The goal this week is you have to create your color style, your variables on your file that you'll be using to design, select your fonts. The material that I've provided for you, you see exactly how to create typography easily without having to do it one after the other manually. So watch that and create all of those in your file, because by the end of the week, the Figma link you'll be submitting by Saturday. As you see on your link, you should have created all your color style, created all your element, all your typography style. You've added all your fonts, everything. You set it up, and all like that. So yeah, that's that. That's that for today. It's been 2 hours. So before we call it a day, does anybody has any additional question?
Yeah, actually, I think like 3 years or 4 years ago, Figma has this icon that they wrote Max or something, but I'm not really seeing it here. So I don't know if there is a way. Yeah, Max.
Max, like MAX.
MASK.
Oh, mask. Oh, when you
Yeah.
want to max elements together. And
So,
maxing elements is still there. Now,
okay, so please, can you explain about that? I don't really understand Max and all.
So, I will not lie. I'm also not great with using the maxing tool. However, okay, I think a perfect way is, let me bring this. Let me delete all this measurements thing, I beg. Hey, God. So I don't delete it. It will just keep following. So now, max is for when you want to blend 2 things together for you to hide stuff and all. So for example, you have this rectangle. You see how the frame is not showing here, but you want something to adapt each other somehow. Now you want to max this into each other, and you don't want all of this to come out and all. You select both elements, right? And you right click. And I think the max is somewhere around there. I've forgotten where that is. I had it use as max. See it here. You just use as max. See that now I have 4 more, whatever. So if I was to reverse the case now, Control Z. So let's assume this now. Let me add same image. Let me add another image on this one instead. And I'll select this and let me find another image to use. Okay. I'm selecting this now. So, well, I want this to maintain, to come, yeah. Okay. So I have my image now, and I am selecting this together, and I right click, I use as max. You see that image I selected here as adopted, I can now adjust it. You can see that I've maxed it. That other image is still there, but because I've maxed it, I've used as maxed, so it's covering each other. I'm able to set it into what I wanted to set. It's mostly used like during text too. So if I want this text, let me select this. So if I want this text to adopt this color of this images now, I can select this text and this. I right click, I use as max. You see that? Can you see that the text has adapted the color of the image? You can see what happened right there.
Yes, yes.
So I have maxed it. So you're only seeing image from the text area and all. So you use maxing for when you want something to take a shape of an image or something like that. So you can see how this has taken the image of the main this thing. So somebody will just think that, oh, it is the text that has the color, but you have maxed it together. So I am lady is adopting that text without having overlay of the image going around.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
those are what you use maxing for.
Okay.
But to do maxing, rectangle has to be involved because rectangle is a vector. It's only a vector that you can max. So you have to use rectangle when you're maxing. You notice that I have to bring rectangle in to do the maxing. A frames cannot max. It's rectangle that can max.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's that about that. I believe it's a lengthy session, so I believe you've learned one or two, and you'll have practiced more. By Thursday class, we'll dive into UX principles and all, so that by the end of the week you'll have been well grounded in that, and by next week Monday, I would be saying your flows, giving your corrections, and all like that. All right.
Thank you.
That is that for today.